Okay, so there's the invite. Wow, that could be perfectly timed. Wow. JonSnow versus SlayerSBoneR. Again, you guys might know him better as Slayers, or not Slayers, Caliber. I guess Root Caliber back in the day, like way back in the day. But Caliber. But he goes by SlayerSBoneR because I guess it's a fun name. He usually plays random, because he's usually just looking to have fun. But it seems like this time he's going to be picking his default race, his original race, which is Protoss. So there's going to be another PVZ. Get so many of them lately. And we're just waiting. Quickly commenting on his 2-0 win versus Mini Razor, which I also thought was very surprising. Not that Mini Razor has been, like, you know, super, like, you know, rolling heads and whatnot, because actually has only recently been coming back, it seems, in the competitive scene. But still, as I said, Caliber's always has this air, just like, you know, he's just kind of having fun and whatnot, so I guess he's a little surprised he won as well. But it's cool to see him here, this far in the qualifier. Now, I already predicted JonSnow and Corsair, and it's looking like my predictions are still going to be pretty damn right. But I'm ready for upsets. Told him that I am ready. There we go, and we are getting into game now. First map is going to be Dusk Towers. This is more typical than what we usually see, right? Just real quick checking the chat, see if anything's going wrong. Doesn't look like it. Okay, cool. Let's get in the game then. In the top right, game number 1 on Dusk Towers, it is the blue Zerg, flip sides, JonSnow. Yeah. In the bottom left, as the pink Protoss, he is SlayerSBoneR, or Caliber, however you really want to refer to him as. So I kind of gave you guys, I guess, a brief overview of what, you know, you might expect from this game. You know, Caliber is kind of playing, seemingly not super competitively, but he likes playing in competition, so he's probably practicing, you know, somewhat seriously, but he does stuff like this. And JonSnow is someone that I think is actually going to qualify, so I'm sure that's going to be heavily favored in bets for JonSnow, and that's probably the way it should be, to be honest. JonSnow's looking pretty strong lately, except for 1 or 2 mishaps maybe in the CSL. But this is a cannon rush, so very important we're watching this probe. We might see a second probe eventually, but I feel like if it was going to be the case, it would have already been sent out, because it's a pretty long map. JonSnow takes this base in, you know, typical fashion that Zergs do, but he also scouts with a drone, which is very important. I think unfortunate for our pink Protoss is that when you do this type of stuff once or twice, but, you know, honestly, even once, it gets out very quickly. You know, a lot of these guys, they watch the casts while they're waiting for an opponent, either to look for what can be their opponent, or to just, you know, have something to do and watch some StarCraft. So they usually see some of these wonkier games and are just told by, like, other players, basically. And I'm sure a lot of these guys have faced each other on ladder, too, and I don't know what, you know, SlayerSBoneR's like on ladder, but he might be exactly the same, trying to cannon rush. It doesn't work. Absolutely does not work. Losing the probe like that just means it's done, it's gone. So he tries to expand. Now what's really funny is that when this would happen in Heart of the Swarm, you'd be like, well, it's just really a Forge Fast expand, where instead of getting the Nexus first, you got the Forge first. You know, a very safe opener, not a very economic one. And that would actually be fine in a surprising amount of cases, which was always, I think, very disappointing to Zergs, who would think, yeah, I took care of a cannon rush, the guy's gonna lose for sure, and then they don't. But in Legacy of the Void, I think it is definitely a sign that they're basically gonna lose for sure. I mean, it sounds so silly, but delaying the gateway, which delays Cybernetics Core, which delays the Warp Gate, which delays any sort of pressure you can do with the Zerg, just lets them totally out-macro you. There's not much that can be done, and the safety that you get from early cannons no longer holds up to what it was. I'm gonna go ahead and blame Ravagers on that one. But also, I think just the advanced economy. You can get more roaches or more lings if you try and all-in someone early on. So, already painting a pretty bleak picture for our Protoss. But maybe JonSnow will slip up somehow. Maybe he'll be too greedy and think he'll have too much time before Warp Gate is done. Or maybe he will be aggressive and suddenly cannons are the lord and savior of Protoss on the third base, for instance. Slap down 15 cannons, they don't expect it, and all the Ravagers in there, suddenly they did. Right? That's how it works. No. Stargate, I think, is definitely a very safe follow-up to this. If you go for the Robo, I guess you could go for the Warp Prism on the Observer, but it'll get you vision, but it won't get you probably a lot of harassment, because if you get the Warp Prism, you're only on one gateway right now. The Stargate gets you just the tiniest bit of harassment with the Phoenixes or an Oracle, and gets you a lot of vision, a lot of control over the map, and it's just a safe thing to do, right? Because, you know, they'll fly around, hopefully, and just never be caught, never be killed. Twilight Council maybe could have gone down, but then I would have said he's definitely going for an all-in if he did that. Seeing this, JonSnow should feel very comfortable droning. And that's definitely an unfortunate thing for SlayerSBoneR here. As any information he doesn't give to his opponent is good news for him, and unfortunately his opponent just discarded basically everything he needed to. I guess you kind of want to, you know, double check the Nexus is going down, because what if this was some really weird all-in where they'd stopped building Phoenix and then they went for like a secret dark shrine, which would take forever to build, but let's just say it happened. So you want to confirm, I suppose. But I think JonSnow has a very good idea what's happening. And is just, you know, doing what he does, whatever he wants, actually. Not even what he does best, just whatever he wants. So right now that is droning. Preparing against the Stargate, of course. Don't want to take any damage from this, you don't have to. But droning, first and foremost. We'll see what tech he chooses for the lair. I'm gonna guess Hydralisk, because it's just in fashion. It's so hot right now. And, you know, it's pretty good. We'll see if he adds a Bailey Nest as well. If this Evo Chamber starts +1 melee, then I'm gonna say Bailey Nest. I'm waiting. Oh, no, it's... Oh. Okay, well, this is certainly not what I was expecting. Usually it gets +1 and then the Baneling Nest. If it gets the missile attack, then it's kind of forgoes the Baneling Nest for a while and just goes for the Ling Hydra. But going for all of it, skipping that +1, going for the missile attack first, but still getting that Baneling Nest. Let's see if he adds on a second Evolution Chamber later. Again, at this point, JonSnow should be feeling very confident whatever his choices are. Maybe he changed it up because he realized the Phoenixes, the air would be a bigger deal, so something that shoots air might be better upgraded, or not sure. Well, I guess it'd be kind of hard to tell what SlayerSBoneR was doing after the Stargate. Hold on. I'm trying to use my pointer finger to press the V button. Yeah, so we only saw the Stargate, and I guess, you know... Okay, so you Stargate in third base, you know, you have a lot of time to macro, that's all well and good, but then what are they doing after that? Are they actually going to go into something very standard, like Twilight Council with a Robo, charge on an Immortal, after a failed cannon rush? I don't know. Maybe some safer players would, but SlayerSBoneR is not a safe player. He's going for a triple Stargate Fleet Beacon. So I really hope it's carriers, because at this point, why not? But it might be Tempests, which would make a little bit more sense, but would still be a little bit trolly. I do like that JonSnow gets a Spire. I don't think he's getting this because he doesn't realize Phoenix could instantly counter his mutas. I think he's getting this because he realizes that mass Stargate could be SlayerSBoneR's plan. Again, he seemed to predict the cannon rush so well. Why not predict everything else? And Corruptors can be very helpful against Tempests or carriers. Not so much against Void Rays, but remember that they usually just outmass Void Rays in the start. So that might be what JonSnow's going for here. Just, you know, lots and lots of Corruptors if he needs them. If he needs them. I mean, Ling Hydra might be able to bust this front. It is just cannons. Photon cannons and overcharges. So. The trick really about getting to a mass Stargate fleet is just living long enough to get to said mass. You know, because honestly, if JonSnow is super passive and just is like having fun getting to like 5th and 6th bases and doesn't attack, JonSnow could have a little bit of trouble. Like, SlayerSBoneR could get up to not a maxed out army, I don't think, not only on 3 bases in Legacy of the Void specifically, but maybe close. And you get to enough Tempests with good Void Ray coverage, and Corruptors have a tough time. You SimCity with a stupid amount of cannons, and Hydra and Lings have a tough time reaching the air. So, like, this is actually a pretty good turtle right now. The real trick will be getting to that 4th base, because eventually SlayerSBoneR will need one. He's just getting everything, by the way. The Void Rays and then Tempest, kind of like I said, they kind of cover the Corruptors a little bit better than just Tempest, but to also get like a single carrier is looking really silly. A big important part of this is not just getting to mass air, just continuing on my whole how to do this. It's also getting Storm. It's kind of funny to see this after so long, but back in the beginning of Legacy of the Void beta, mass carrier was actually a thing. Like, it was a little bit silly, but it was actually very strong because people just couldn't pressure it correctly, and, you know, it was always a surprise what all the new units could do, and the new carrier and whatnot. So we learned, playing random, very quickly, that mass carrier could be good, or mass air of any type could be good, but you really need something on the ground, and that something is Splash. So seeing the Temple Archives is definitely necessary. You're going to need Storm or Archons to stop Corruptors from just rolling you over. Bowling you over. Here's the problem with the SimCity. So that's a large amount of units from JonSnow they just really can't get past, and he's got to back off. Double Spire is a definite thumbs up for me. Getting that Carapace upgrade as well as the Flyer attack is super duper good. Don't really have to worry about a Greater Spire for some time. Vipers, of course, they were recently nerfed, and it's been a long time since we've seen Mass Stargate versus Zerg. So I actually wonder how much that'll affect this late game attack. And just upgrading everything else, I suppose, as well is all good news. I mean, JonSnow, maybe he could have, you know, tried to attack and killed SlayerSBoneR at 6 minutes or 7 minutes or whatever, right? But now it's not happening. And you do just kind of have to recognize that your best bet is to let them turtle on 3 bases, stop them from ever getting a 4th, and just out-expand them, which is what JonSnow is doing. But that's a lot of upgrades. I'm actually getting a little worried for JonSnow. The thing about the composition SlayerSBoneR is going for is that the Storms make it so just like they could trade evenly, and that's going to go much better for JonSnow, or they could trade so well for SlayerSBoneR that he actually steamrolls through as JonSnow tries to remax. Because JonSnow will have a remax. It's just a question of can he remax in time. And if Storms really just obliterate everything he has, that might not happen. This is apparently going to go to a very long game. Which is not entirely what I expected. I guess it is a map that would have played well to SlayerSBoneR's backup plan. I thought that JonSnow would have killed him with like a Nidus Worm or something. But he didn't. And now he's gonna have to kill him with a grand old army. This is attacking maybe soon enough. The cannons aren't done, but there are Storms available. Wrong button. Yeah, Storms are available. They're actually blanketing that left side of the Hydras, right side of the Hydras too. Viper abducts the Mothership Core. Actually, I don't see that too often anymore. And this might just be enough of a concave. There really aren't a lot of capital ships for SlayerSBoneR, but never mind, they actually don't get touched. I mean, I saw 6 capital ships, right? I see 3 Tempests, 3 carriers. That doesn't seem like a lot, but there was just not enough Hydras to push through. All the Corruptors had died. The Vipers wanted to get away before they died, and that actually was enough. So, kudos SlayerSBoneR on the hold. Now he can try and put up those cannons once again, take the gases more importantly, because that's what he's really running low on, and continue to get the mass air fleets. He's at 150 supply. He's on his way there. He did use the rest of his gas to get a couple more Storms, which I think is definitely more important than getting a couple more, like 1 more carrier or 1 more Voider or something like that. And now he's getting his base up. I mean, this little bit of bank he has for the minerals is not useless. These cannons are actually a very good idea, as opposed to just banking them. You could argue he could put all of those minerals into charge lots if he wanted, but he would also have to get, you know, a dozen more gateways and actually get charge, which he doesn't have. And upgrades for them, because none of his ground is upgraded. So the upgrades, actually speaking of, are insane for JonSnow. Oh, this is a dangerous maneuver. Yes, it's a lot of Corruptors, and they'll pee on buildings really fast, but this Nexus isn't that important, and the army really wasn't that far away. Okay, only loses a couple of Corruptors. I'd say that's worth it. Attack at the 4th base as well. That's really what he wanted to do. The Storms are ready, and they are saved as well, so gets rid of the cannons. Not a bad fight. Not a bad attack, you know, double-pronged. Okay, a couple of Voiders on the backside. But not breaking SlayerSBoneR. The fact that a Protoss is able to get to a 4th base is probably a little bit worrying to JonSnow, because he, you know, it's kind of like that. You want to have a stopping point, you know? You never stop him from expanding and you're doing something wrong as the Zerg in this situation. Or the Protoss is doing something really, really right. Which might just be happening. JonSnow, of course, I was saying, like, the upgrades, so many of them. He's getting every single unit possible to see if something can break SlayerSBoneR, including Ultralisk, which I wouldn't really recommend, but on the off chance that they can get a wraparound, like they can actually go into the main, or they can kill the 4th base, or 5th base, rather, then I guess they're useful enough. I think that mass upgraded Lings would be more useful than that, though. And speaking of which, we see them trying to deny a 5th base. They could be trying to knight us in the main base. That actually might be a really good idea. You take on these Stargates, and that's going to take a long time for the production to get back up. Well, SlayerSBoneR is almost maxed, and with a maxed Stargate, Storm, maybe Archon, army, you can do wondrous things. Wonderful things. Very good. Oh, some of those are getting pushed. That was really weird. That was funny. I guess that was his start to the attack, and he is just pushing in here. Once again, the Mothership Core is abducted, but there go the parasitic bombs, which I believe were missing from the last fight, but there go the Storms and the Corruptors, and they're all types of clumped up. They're staying way too long in the Storms. A single Archon on the ground almost killed so many Corruptors. And SlayerSBoneR, I don't think he lost that much supply. I think he's at like 120 supply, army supply I'm talking about. I think he only lost like 20. Again, only losing the Mothership Core, I mean, that looks like a very important thing to kill, but honestly, is it? Like, it's not a Vortex machine anymore. It's just, you know, it can Time Warp and Photon Overcharge and Cloak, obviously, but JonSnow's been bringing Overseers. So I don't know. I mean, either way, even, I'm not saying the Abduct was where he went wrong, it always seems like it's so important, even to us viewers. We're like, oh my god, the Mothership, and then you realize, like, oh, that's not that bad. Yeah, I don't know. SlayerSBoneR is at a point where he's going to need a 5th base if he plans on ever remaking this army, even just the littlest bit. And that's going to be a hard thing to do. It's also going to be much harder to secure. You know, he's got cannons, he's got his army here. If he has to pretend, or has to defend this 5th base, then that's a little more complicated. And suddenly run-bys or Corruptor piss-bys, or whatever you want to call them, into the main base are a lot deadlier. Because that's why he leaves a single High Templar with a couple of Storms. Oh my god. Oh, I want to see that again. What was that? Oh, it was this. Yeah, the transparency issue, by the way, has never been fixed, so you can see the carrier warping in on the transparency. Oh, but another fight goes down, and this time it has Ultras, I guess, to get rid of the static defense. The Corruptors are also just the tiniest bit more spread out, but there's so many Void Rays, and Parasitic Bomb is just not as deadly as it once was. I mean, seeing 3 Parasitic Bombs on a grouped up Protoss army, and you're just like, oh my god, they're so dead, but these aren't dying, they're losing their shields. So much, oh my god, almost kills 3 or 4 of those Ultralisks. Those Voiders are good. God. Okay, well, this is not over for either player. JonSnow on how many bases? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bases, including a gold, can remax quite a few more times. I think eventually he's probably going to take SlayerSBoneR's gold. He might even take this base, and he's going to have more times to remax. Where SlayerSBoneR is always going to be a little bit scared. Whenever, you know, there's going to be a point, if he can't keep expanding, where he's going to lose, okay, maybe only like 30, 40 supply, but then realize he can't replace it. And then, you know, a couple more times of that, and you're just down to 0 supply, right? And JonSnow, he's so far kind of, you know, running against a wall right here. Looks like he's upgraded all that he really can. I guess he can get +3 melee weapons, and it's just not producing anything right now. He's maxed out, there's nothing else to do, just building a bank, getting ready for the next attack, which now has, I think, just too many Ultras really make it worth it. I really wonder about this Ultralisk choice. Maybe he was expecting more Tempest and Carriers, which wouldn't kill them as fast? Or maybe he really thought the cannons on the low ground was like a big problem, and the Ultras were mostly take care of that? I don't know. But there's really not a lot of detection for SlayerSBoneR, and if his army was here, it would be perfect. It's just a little bit too late, though, so a lot of these probes, if they're going to go down, they're actually getting trapped on the Ultralisk, so not as many as I thought, and the army still saves the 4th base. Doesn't save all of the cannons, and SlayerSBoneR is not exactly rolling in dough, but still taking on this army. The Ultras are trying to run away, but they're just dying. A couple of Storms look a little bit unnecessary, but okay, that one is really good on the Storm, on the Hydras right there. I guess we had Oh, drops, not a Nidus run, but drops into the main base. Both are equally good. These storms, I don't believe, were hit in time. Maybe they hit a couple of the Hydras, maybe not. And of course, there's like a single stalker in there, so it doesn't matter either. A recall was used, and he can recall. Actually, this mothership core is really important. As he expands out, he can recall base to base to base. So uses one here, because why not? Not using it in the NG for anything else. I don't think he's been forced to overcharging, although I might be wrong. I wasn't paying attention. I just figured he wasn't, because it's a mothership. But the attack up to the top side again, not going to recall. I've never actually seen like back-to-back recalls. Is there a huge cooldown? I actually don't know. But doesn't get to save the 4th base. The Ultralists, for the most part, go out alive, and I just saw a huge remax of Corruptors, all being rallied to his army, I guess? Yeah, just to his army. So about 30 Corruptors, almost. Well upgraded against... Just move the use tab. You guys can look with your eyes. 4 carriers, 10 Void Rays, a couple of Archons. The High Templar count is a little low. I will say that. That's when things start looking like really bad, is when you can't storm those Corruptors anymore. But the storms he has go down, and they are pretty damn good. Once again, all those Corruptors are so stacked up, and the Void Rays are overcharged. They are taking great fights. I'm surprised they moved away a little, but they move away to just take on more Corruptors. And the Void Rays, they take on both the Corruptors and those Ultralisks on the ground. And once again, SlayerSBoneR survives. But he is now down drastically in that overall supply. Not so much in the army supply. It's still a very good army, but that 4th base needs to be here. He is mined out here, 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 almost here. Oh, he has Archons. Oh my god, he has Archons trapped. Oh, that's a big deal. Well, doesn't really need the forge. Well, no, he does need the forge. He's been building cannons. Oh yeah, that could be huge. Report on that later. SlayerSBoneR needs more than just a 5th, though. He needs a 6th. It's not quite at that point where I believe he will tire JonSnow out. JonSnow did stop expanding, but he's still on 86 drones. There's the expansions. One over here? No. It's 86 drones, and he doesn't have a problem getting minerals and gas. SlayerSBoneR does. So eventually I will give this to JonSnow. Eventually. Okay, well, this is a very fun game, but not the one you usually hope for when you're solo casting. And it is only game number 1. Throwing that out there. This is the match before the qualifying match. So the winner of this will go on to face Silky, who just 2-0'd Juggernaut Jason. And then the other side is actually heating up as well. But we have another fight going down. And the 4th base, unfortunately, looks like it's going to just be sniped. At this point, it would totally be worth sniping. And the Hydras are going to get it. I mean, it costs a bunch of Hydras on the right side because they weren't focus firing or anything like that. But they're starting to take out the Void Rays. There come a couple more Storms. Those Archons, like I said, that's really the most important part. You don't have Storms and Archons, and suddenly the Corruptors, they still don't do that well against Void Rays. But the Hydras start doing pretty well. And that's, very worrying. One thing that's also been missing... harassment at all from SlayerSBoneR. If he had any moment in time where he was banking 2,000, 1,000 or something like that, and he went for a Dark Shrine and a War Prism, it would just be the tiniest bit of harassment that could really change things, Maybe the second Remax wouldn't have come as fast for JonSnow, and SlayerSBoneR could have fit in not only a 4th base, but a 5th base, or something like that, But there's been nothing. JonSnow has really had to worry about nothing. And SlayerSBoneR just doesn't have enough money now to do anything. So, we're just waiting for JonSnow to basically win this game. I mean, again, bleak picture from the very beginning for SlayerSBoneR, but that's really where it's come down to. If SlayerSBoneR wins this game, I will give everyone in the chat 20 partoofs, because there's like 2,300 of you. I was gonna say 2,000, and then I realized that was a mistake. Attack on the right side, I guess kind of forgot this side even existed. It's been all about that 5th base. This is the last mining base of SlayerSBoneR. Everything else is... he's got like 180 minerals here. Nothing anywhere else. This nexus is already pretty damn low from the earlier attack. I don't know. SlayerSBoneR, he's got a... You know, he had one time where he was maxed out. Or almost maxed out. And he couldn't do anything with it. Oh no, the High Templars! Oh no, the High Templars are super, super important. This is one, almost this is two. Looks like SlayerSBoneR is gonna say, F it, I know I'm gonna lose if I don't do something right now. So let's just push out. I don't think JonSnow's ready for this. Again, those High Templars being so, so important. They got a 1 or 2 each. Overcharging on the Spore Crawlers could be a mistake if there was a secret Corruptor army, but there actually isn't. Storms go down on the Hydras, the Vipers try and parasitic bomb the Void Rays, and they do. It's all clumped up. They're doing some nice damage, but just not like, you know, the instant death damage that we usually see, and they do survive. But with, you know, a lot of their health gone, the Hydra's also getting a lot of shots in there as well. Viper's kind of useless right now. They gotta get that energy back from a hatchery or something, and SlayerSBoneR is actually pushing in here. I mean, this is not going to be enough, I don't think, but this is kind of the scenario I was talking about. If he was 70 supply up, and JonSnow took a bad fight, and couldn't remax, you know, as quickly as he would like, that could have been game. But this is not 80 supply up for SlayerSBoneR. He's 30 supply down, and I think this is going to be the last fight. I don't know who's going to go for, but it's definitely going to be the last one. There aren't really that many storms. A couple Spore Crawlers helping as well. The Corruptors are target firing the carriers, actually, before getting on top of those Void Rays, and they might just lose their lives for it. That one Spore Crawler's helping out so, so much. The Void Rays barely survive, but we have 23 more Hydras and 9 more Corruptors on the way. But again, I think that's it. JonSnow now tripling the supply of SlayerSBoneR. I mean, 26-minute game from a cannon rush that failed, but damn. Oh, he's dancing his Ultralisk. Forgot they could dance. This is game. GG! I am tired now. Oh my god. Okay. I'm gonna go to a quick break. Hopefully they don't start super, super quick. But if they do, I'll cut that short, I promise. So be back in probably 2 minutes. Hey everyone, we're back, and you know what? I have been missing an image this entire time. Haha! That's because it's the wrong flippin' thing. There it is! There it is! Okay, now I get the right overlay on. In the bottom right, as the blue Zerg, he is Flipside Tactics JonSnow. In the bottom left, as the pink Protoss, once again cannon rushing, it is SlayerSBoneR. Yes, yes, quite. If this goes into another 25-minute long game, I'm just gonna be right back for like, I don't know, 30 minutes? You know, just real quick, hop on over. Something like that? Nah. I don't think it will be, but unfortunately that is the case with just that type of game. If they get to a certain point of air superiority, it is just about the Zerg kind of throwing bodies at the Protoss and hoping to eventually win. Now, that probe was still suspiciously early, and that, you know, drone should have been telling back to its commander, like, hey, something's weird here, but maybe JonSnow really thinks that he left. That would be a problem, and this cannon rush might actually work. As silly as that is. Okay, didn't like what his first position was, I guess. This Overlord is about to scout the maybe odd absence of a 7x core, because even if it was a Nexus after a gateway, that 7x core still would have been put down, I believe. And I think he sees the Forge right now, too. Oopsie, yeah, he sees the Forge. So Lings were on the way, and maybe he did know there was going to be a cannon rush and just figured I need to pull drones for this, because I went for a pull first. But he might have made a mistake in that calculation. The Lings just barely don't kill this cannon. They almost get this. Actually, it'd be worth killing that cannon. Yeah, kill the cannon. But more importantly, most importantly, they don't get the probe. So there's more cannons now possible, and things are a little awkward. Of course, back at home, you're going to eventually have to either get a Zealot here or actually a cannon in your main base, because there's a possibility that JonSnow will try and counterattack, but honestly, that won't even have that high chance of working, so I'm glad that JonSnow isn't, to be honest. Not unless he has a lot more Lings, which he might. He's getting a lot right now. I think he just really wants to break the cannons, though. That one kind of, you know, easily surrounded. This one did die, so he's trying to replace it now, and only one cannon left over might not be enough. Lings are choked in, and he's trying to build another cannon to help out this one, but that one's gonna go down. Now it's up to this one to do more damage, and this is slowly, I think, not working. There's just too many Lings on the way. 12 more Lings, speed about to finish, and the Queen's about to pop out. If at any point there had been 2 cannons full health attacking, I think that JonSnow might have lost too much to warrant it, but there almost always was only 1 full health cannon attacking, so he cleans it up, doesn't lose a queen, loses like a handful of Lings, obviously doesn't lose a hatchery first and foremost. Oh, more than a handful. Okay, 22 is not bad, but that's still, you know, SlayerSBoneR. He doesn't have a Nexus. This time, this game, he has faster Warp Gate, but doesn't have a Nexus. So what can you really use said Warp Gate on? And now JonSnow can freely try and counterattack, and if he can't attack into the base, he can contain SlayerSBoneR on his base. So, problems all around for our pink Protoss. Now JonSnow, he can get his 3rd base, he can get his drones, there's no more fear of a cannon rush, and without that Nexus, I don't think SlayerSBoneR can get to mass target again. I did comments solo casting that game, but then I used a little flex emoji, and JonSnow said playing that game, and used the poop emoji. Poo. This might just be a 3-get expand, which is a term not heard since Wings of Liberty. It also could try to into attack, but the attack probably wouldn't have worked that well. For those that are here, I suppose we got, like, you know, a couple of viewers there, I guess specifically tuning in because there was a really epic PvZ going on. Rifkin is not here. I am solo casting the entire day, not just like this one best of 3 or anything like that, because his allergies are actually so bad they couldn't do tests on him for his wisdom teeth, and he can't cast while constantly sneezing and barely able to see the screen with his puffed up eyes, and you know all that good stuff that happens with allergies that I am fortunate enough to never have to deal with. I actually am not allergic to anything. One of the minor blessings in life, right? Ah, here's another perk to being on Ruins of Endion that could have been a perk for SlayerSBoneR if his expansion wasn't so late, is that you can tear down the rocks. So, you know, you cheese, it fails, maybe you can buy that extra 2 or 3 minutes by breaking down your rocks and your opponent's rocks. But JonSnow was the one that was really content macroing, so, you know, yeah, okay, maybe if he dedicated, he could have actually killed this Nexus. But he didn't want to. He has all the choices. Stargate has started. Double Stargate has started. To make up for lost time, obviously. But I don't know. This is a lot weirder than the last situation. You know, he got that Nexus fairly quickly, and he got the 3rd base very quickly as well. Probably around this time, actually. 6 minutes? Yeah. So he was mining off of 3 bases, for the most part. Here, he might get his 3rd, but he'll most likely only be mining off of 2. This will probably be mined out by then. And JonSnow, he's not going straight up to those Ling and Hydras. He is going to try and attack and end this game before things get too late. And it takes way too long. This is not really a qualifier that's based off endurance, like some of those double eliminations, but it's always a thing to consider. Like, you don't want to play a 25-minute game if you don't have to. It's like more tilt-inducing than anything else. So trying to break SlayerSBoneR with Roach, Ravager, Ling, I think it'll work. I have faith here that this won't go to a 20-minute game, please. And I think JonSnow has faith as well. Now, he is going to be attacking from the bottom, so this 3rd base, I mean, might not even be an issue. He might really be trying to kill the natural, or he could just go to the 3rd and kill that too. And first and foremost, he finds the Adepts trying to break down the rocks, so they just go bye-bye. Phoenixes can't really help that much. The Void Rays aren't even really out yet, and this is all that SlayerSBoneR has. And JonSnow should be winning this 2-0 to go on to the qualifying match. Flipping Overdrive only lasts so long. I think this is it. Kinda makes it for that longer game earlier, I suppose. But this is it. GG! Good luck! SlayerSBoneR, always a good sport about things. But alright, we are now getting to the qualifying matches. I kind of almost went into what the plan was, I suppose, but then action happened on this Towers game. So real quick, the winner of this, which was JonSnow taking it 2-0, will go on to face Flipside Silky, so another team kill, actually. A lot of Flipside Tactics guys here. On the other side of things, we have Cham beating Suppy, which... That's like another thing you haven't heard since like 2012 or something like that. And you have Kellozer still fighting against GYTZ. Kellozer did have a clan war that kind of bumped it back a little bit, but he ended up losing. I was talking with Cats about it, and so he didn't really delay it that long. I don't really mind that much. I know we've been having some troubles with similar things, but oh well. So he should be, I expect, 2-0ing Gitz, or however you want to pronounce his name, and probably going to face Gosu Chum. With the way time is going, and the way that I feel, we ideally want to cast both qualifiers, so I think that'll be fine. I think I'll be okay. We're going to get right into Silky versus JonSnow after all, so not that much downtime. So I'm going to go ahead and start the ad breaks. Of course, this is sponsored all by TING, giving out the prize pool and being really awesome people. I know Jesse was earlier in chat. I haven't been checking to see if he's still there, but usually if you have any questions and he is there, he's happy to answer them. If you aren't sure what it is in general, TING is a mobile phone service company that only caters to the United States, unfortunately. If you're Canadian, basically, because I know all the Europeans are like, haha, $20, yeah. But they're really cool people, and I think their, like, idea is really awesome. It's really well made for people like me, for instance, who just stay at home with Wi-Fi. It's basically, you pay for what you use, so if you're always around Wi-Fi, then you don't use any data. It's no problem. It's like super, super low bill, but I'll go ahead and let them tell you more about themselves with these nice ads, and we'll see you in a few minutes for the first qualifying match of the NA qualifier.